Hi, this is Orest. I'm here with Dr. Jeffrey Leider, the ear, nose, and throat specialist and expert. We live in a strange times, and our life's been flipped upside down. And you being a doctor, how are you coping and dealing with today's things?
Well, for all of us, Orest, almost every aspect of life, it's difficult. Medicine, of course, is unique. As a specialist and just a practicing physician, we've had to adapt to how to see, evaluate, and treat patients without physically interacting with them. And for many patients, both for their safety and the safety for both myself and my staff, we try to minimize human-to-human interactions. And fortunately, this telemedicine concept, has been able to help adapt to benefit patients who are unwilling or uncomfortable coming in and help us on the treatment side to at least render the best treatment possible given the circumstances.
And do patients through the telemedicine, are you able to diagnose or you had to go and change the way you do things without not being able to physically see them?
It's clearly changed, by definition, how we practice. A lot of the practice, we've all been in physicians, a lot of it is your history. When you speak to your signs and symptoms, what things you've done or haven't done thus far to address them. We ask, of course, pointed questions regarding that particular illness. Then you put it with the physical exam and put it together. Unfortunately, the physical exam part is missing. So we do the best we can and to come up with a treatment for the patient. And oftentimes, even over the phone, we can still recommend medications. We could still recommend do's and don'ts. We could still order, outpatient studies, x-rays, or tests that we need to get. Again, it is not as good as having your hands and eyes on a patient, but we're doing the best we can.
So this is just the alternative just to get by for a time being when we have the social distancing and the stay-at-home order, I understand, correct?
And it may vary without getting off on a tangent, primary care treatment versus a specialist. It's a little different. It's a little harder as a specialist for what we do. Oftentimes, if someone had a nosebleed, I can't help them with that. If there's certain things, and we have done things or had kids have ear tubes, I can't look at the ear tube, but I can surmise on what's going on with the signs and symptoms.
Once we moved past this COVID-19 and social distancing, do you foresee telemedicine as being a way of the future? Do you feel that the medicine might evolve in this direction, or do you think that things will resume back to the traditional way, the office visits?
Yeah, it's interesting and a good question. The traditional way, of course, is face-to-face. Telemedicine didn't start the day after the COVID crisis. It had been here and was being used on a relatively limited basis, almost exclusively by primary care and for a subset of patients. Older patients who perhaps were working, could never physically get into an office. So I'm sure these aren't real numbers, but let's just say 5-ish% of medicine was being practiced with this. I'm sure afterwards, during the COVID crisis, I'm going to say it's going to bump up to 50%. And then when we come back, it's probably going to come back to 25-ish%. These are just raw numbers, meaning it's going to escalate from its baseline before COVID. I don't think it would become the standard of care, certainly from a specialist standpoint, but it's definitely an alternative. And I will use it clearly not as much as I'm using it now to see the vast majority of my patients during the crisis, but now having it set up, having the logistics, the IT part of it, a comfort level using it, I could see moving forward for after hours, perhaps a subset of time set aside for patients on the weekends, and that subset of patients, elderly, whatever physical limitations getting into the office, I will use it moving forward, clearly though not at the percentage and rate I'm using it now.
And just on a sideline, any advice for the people that would be getting ready for a televisit? Is there anything different? Is there anything that they have to prepare themselves, or is there any advice that you can kind of convey to your patients getting ready for that?
Yeah, I would simply say to have all your ducks in a row, meaning if when you get online, almost like you would say when you come to a regular doctor's office, know your history, have your list of medications ready, have the dates and results of any tests that you may have had. even if it's possible, you know, if you want to send things to the office ahead of time so that it's part of your file when I see you, I could have it available. And it just makes the visit more streamlined, more efficient, as opposed to, all right, I got 80% of it, let's get this 20%, and then I'll give you an answer. It just takes a little more time, another visit. So just be as prepared as possible when you enter in with as much information as you have.
All right, well, great. I will pass it around, and we'll kind of share this thing with our clients and kind of show them how, you know, technology and everything is evolving right now. And I appreciate the time that you spent with me, and good luck to you, and we'll talk to you soon.
And thank you, Orest, and for those who are listening, when I talked about the IT and setting up, you were the one that helped set me up and did a great job, made it easy. And it's going to be a great asset for me, and I appreciate the input that you've had in helping me move forward with the practice.
All right, well, sounds good. Thank you, and good luck out there, and we'll hopefully talk soon after when this is over.
Thank you. Be safe.